One of the best ways to attract your ideal buyers is to show them that you are the authority on the topic of interest, someone who understands their situation well and also holds the key to getting them to where they want to be. Now, if you can position yourself that way, then they will be seeking you out. They will go out of their way to get to know you and find out if you're the person who can help them. And the best way to do that is through your content. Any piece of content. This can be an article like a blog post or a podcast episode, or use videos or live streams on your social media feeds. The format you choose is dependent on what is the best method for you to deliver that piece of content, and also what is the best and most likely format that your audience would prefer to get that information, or the best method for them to observe that information. So now comes the million-dollar question. What specific topics should you create your content around? This is where most people get themselves into trouble. Most people know they need to create content to get in front of their ideal buyers. But the approach they use is either they create content on topics that they feel passionate about or comes to them easily, or they randomly create content. They have this belief that if they just keep putting out this big volume of content, they will get noticed by their prospects. Unfortunately, neither of these methods will get you far. In fact, that is a recipe for getting yourself burnt out, doing busy work that won't get you the result that you are after. In order for your content to be effective and to do its job, it needs to address one of your audience's smaller problems that is contributing to their bigger problem, or get them one step closer to getting them that bigger desired outcome that they have been looking for. It's really that simple. If you can create content that does either of these two, now you have got their attention. You have shown that you are the expert in their area of interest. You have also shown them that you hold the key to helping them solve their problem or getting them to that solution. So now comes the critical question: how do you do that? Well, what I want you to do is look back at the work you did during outlining your course content. Look at the steps you are walking them through to give them that outcome. All you need to do is take content from those steps. Preferably you want to take the content from the beginning of your process and then create an in-depth content around that. Another way is, which is even more ideal way, is to look at where they're currently at before they take your training. What are they struggling with? What are their beliefs? What is keeping them stuck? What is standing in their way? And then create content around those specific topics. Let's say that your training is on how to use essential oils to remove depression, anxiety. What are they experiencing before they get to you? What are they struggling with currently? What do they need to know to be ready for taking your training? There is also something else that I want you to keep in mind. The goal of this content is not to throw information at them. This content is not about information at all. This content is about giving them insights to give them those aha moments. Let me give you an example so I can bring this to life for you. Let's say that you're a web designer and you've created a training course that walks your audience through a step-by-step process, helping them to build their own website to come up with content. Ask yourself these questions. What are they currently struggling with? What do they need to believe in order to buy your training? What do they need to know so they can take full advantage of your training? What objections that I have that might keep them from pulling the trigger and buy your training? Let's take a look together. The question: what are they currently struggling with? Maybe they don't have money to invest in a new website. They want an affordable way to do this. The next one is: what do they need to believe in order to buy your training? Maybe that is possible to have a professionally created website by doing it themselves. Next one is: what do they need to know so they can take full advantage of your training? Perhaps that profitable website is about lead generation or message, and the copy is more important than the design of your website. The question about what objections that I have that might keep them from pulling the trigger to buy a course, perhaps that they're thinking, I'm not sure if I'm technical enough to do this on my own. Obviously, I'm just throwing these ideas out. Right. None of it is backed by any research. But on your end, these need to be backed by your research, by tapping into your initial findings about your audience's pain points and their struggles to figure out where they are currently at before they get to you and how to address their struggles, concerns, objections with your concerns. Now, what do we take? A look at one of these so you can see how you can go about it. For example, what do they need to know to take advantage of your training? Perhaps 2 things that a profitable website is about regeneration and a message and copy is more important than the design of your website. So now how can you help them with your content? Well, you could give them insight on all the things they need to think about or prepare before they're ready to build a website, such as best practices on choosing images, or writing an effective copy, or perhaps helping them understand what their measure of success should be. For example, understanding their website goals. Is it to get someone on the phone or fill out a form on their website, or to get them on their email list, and making sure that they are hitting those goals with their new website? Perhaps to understand the psychology behind choosing the right color scheme, or maybe even helping them understand what good branding means or the best way to come up with the right copy for their key pages, such as about page, homepage, or services and product pages. Or maybe even how to structure those websites' content to get the highest conversion. These are all the things that you need to know to be 100% successful with their new websites. Also, keep in mind that the more tools you put in their arsenal, the more equipped they feel, the more they will become a believer that your training is the exact thing that they have been looking for. On top of that, they begin to see you as the right person who knows how to get them there. So when you take this approach, not only you are increasing their confidence that they can pull this off and they have everything they need to do it, you are also increasing their desire for your training program, for your product, for your course, because you are making yourself the trusted authority on this particular subject.